working out. Now that you've won the Super Bowl, how's the feeling different when you come to start training for the year?
I mean, I think we still have, I don't know, as a team, I think we still have to have the same approach. Individually, my approach is the same. I always come in and, work towards things that I could have been better at last year.
What are those things?
I mean, just a few technique things. I mean, things that pop out on tape. During the year that you work on, just simple things of, like I could have did a few, technique things right. But I just work on it. That's what the off season is for.
Fletcher, the shorter off season, how's your body feeling?
I feel good. Sorry.
You don't have to show us.
I feel good. I took some time off, and then I kind of eased my way back into everything, and just gradually got back into doing strength stuff, conditioning stuff, and I feel like I'm ready to roll.
You strung together a bunch of real consistent Pro Bowl type seasons. How important is it for you at this stage of your career to not have a let up, not have that down year that some veterans have?
I think the most important thing is for me is to keep myself in shape. I feel like once I keep myself in shape and keep myself on the same routine, maybe switch a few things up, but keep myself in the same routine, it makes me a better player, it makes me a better person and a better teammate. And and I share that with a lot of young guys that come in there.
Hey, Fletcher, you played 6 years with Vinny, 4 years with Bo. How's the line different now without those guys, and obviously with Michael Bennett and Cody Donovan?
It's going to be different. Just got. I think it's going to be one of those things where I had I played with Benny for a couple years. Then Timmy came in last year, and just one of those things. You just got to build a chemistry with those guys. Learn what those guys do, what those teammates do really good, and try to learn from them, and just get them up to speed on the way that we do things around the building.
Fletcher, it seems like you guys as a team, an organization, are kind of weighing the whole White House visit thing. Are you open to going? Do you not want to go? What's your feeling on that?
I think the main thing for me is today is I'm here to talk about football and not really worried about what's going on outside of that.
How fun has it been this spring seeing the momentum carry from the Eagles' victory to the Phillies and the Sixers playoff run? Because they've been just white hot in Philadelphia.
I think it's great, for the city of Philadelphia, for the way the Sixers are playing right now, the way that, everything is going for the city. And I think those guys are, just feeding off of, what we did back in February. And they're taking that momentum, and it's putting, fire to them to want to do that and continue that and make the city of Philadelphia proud.
Fletcher, how would you describe the whole feeling of winning the Super Bowl? Is it everything that you dreamed it would be?
Absolutely. I think it was great. I enjoyed it. I lived in that moment, and it was just, something that you won't forget. I mean, it's a stamp that's put there, and you got a lot of guys that's played in the league a long time that probably won't ever have a chance that probably never had a chance to experience that feeling. And, it's a great feeling for me and, for my family and the people that's important to me.
What's it been like in your hometown since you won the Super Bowl?
It's been great. My hometown did a few special things for me. They had a hometown parade. They named the longest street in Yazoo City after me, which is really special. So, they've been supporting me the whole way, and they continue to do it.
How long's that street?
I don't know.
Miles?
It's the longest street in Yazoo City, so probably have to act serious about that.
What's it called, like Fletcher Cox Boulevard?
Fletcher Cox Road, yes. Yep.
How does going late in the season, winning the Super Bowl, change your off-season program and how you go about getting ready? Because it's just a condensed time frame.
I think you can't take too much time off, but me as, I know I played a lot of ball during the regular season, so, I had to take more time off than I normally had because of planning to the first week of February. I think the biggest thing for me was to not let myself get completely out of, cardio shape, go in and stay in, and the biggest thing I've done was kind of, I got a bike and I just kind of ride my bike a couple miles a day to kind of keep that up.
We mentioned the new guys on the defensive line. What's it going to take to get back to the level as the unit that you played at last year or even play beyond that?
We have to trust each other. I think that's the biggest thing. It's going to be the biggest thing with Chris, with the players trusting Chris Wilson that is. And, the biggest thing is, for them to learn the defense and, everybody play up to speed. I think they brought in a bunch of, veteran guys that's going to do that.
The fact that it's so hard to repeat, do you talk to players like Malcolm who have been through and won the Super Bowl before and the pitfalls that come with it and how to avoid those?
I think the biggest thing for us is, to focus on this offseason. Let's not worry about, let's not look too far ahead because we have an offseason to go through. We have a training camp to go through. And, the biggest thing is going to be, will this team stay focused? And I know that we will. Another challenge going to be is, we will definitely, trust the process that we're going through. We would definitely just trust everything that the coaches are feeding us, and just continue to just build on it each day.
Fletch, new rules in the league with the helmet. Your understanding of those rules and how do you feel that will impact you?
I mean, just got to play by the rules. I think the biggest thing is going to be hard to adjust some things, but they make rules for a reason, and we just have to follow them. We have to be pros and go out and and follow the rules. But sometimes we all break rules, but it's just part of the game. I don't think that any time that's going to slow anybody down.
In what instances, just generally, have you led with your helmet?
I mean, you never. This game is so fast that things happen really really quick. And I think leading with your helmet, not everybody do that on intentionally. It's just one of those things where you're probably trying to brace or just one of those situations where you really don't know you're doing it, but you really are.
Have they actually explained the new rule and how they're going to feel about calling it?
We haven't had our meeting yet. We normally do that in training camp when we get all the new rules, and they go in and show us examples, and we just have to live by that.
When they do those new rules, is that something you can kind of think about on the field, or do you have to change your practice habits so it becomes like second nature?
You just said it. I think you have to change some things that you do, but you don't. I just feel like you don't get those opportunities in practice to do that. I think the way that we practice and the way that the rules are is just kind of two different ways, because we want to take care of one another. In practice, and obviously have respect for the guy on game day, but at the end of the day, like I said, a few comments ago, that's not something that we do on purpose.
Have you had individual positional meetings yet with just the D-line guys?
I mean, that's what Phase 1 is about. We've been have some meetings about it.
How's
So,
the room different with no Vinny and Bo, and then with Michael being in there, Michael Mack?
man, I talk to Vinny about every other day, and it's gonna take a while to grow on me, because playing with a guy that I drafted with for 6, he played with for 6 years, playing with both for 4, 5 years, and it's gonna be different. But I kind of gotta understand that that's part of the business, and Vinny is happy where he at, and Bo is happy where he at, and I wish those guys the best.
How does your leadership style and Michael's leadership style mesh? Two different leadership styles.
I mean, me and Mike are two different people. Mike is very outspoken, and he says what's on his mind. And that's one of those things that you just got to accept him for who we are. And we always I welcome that guy in that room with open arms, and I'm pretty sure he'll understand the way that I lead, and I understand the way that he lead, and it will be no bumping heads in that room, that's for sure.
Fletcher, it was about almost exactly this time last year that Derek becomes a first-round pick. 10 months later, he's recovering the fumble in the Super Bowl that basically ices that game. Can you talk a little bit about his development you saw in year 1, and then what you could reasonably expect from him to do here in year 2?
I saw him grow from the first day, from the first practice. You saw him grow, and towards the middle of the season, you saw him grow. He started to pick up on things, and we just always to explain them to him. Don't rush it. It's going to come over, of course, of playing a bunch of snaps in the game. He went through preseason. He was like, oh, man, it's really like that. I said, well, no, you really haven't seen nothing yet until the season start. And then the first game come around, he like, man, it's really fast. I said, yeah, this is what we're going to get for the rest of the year. So he kind of grew, and he just learned. I think Chris Long, Vinny, and Brandon, all those guys did a great job of taking him under their arms and just teaching him the ropes. And, right now he looks great. He's, working out, and looking forward to for his second year for him.
How good can he be in year 2?
He'll be really good, because Derek's one of those guys. He shows up, he works hard, and he's not scared to compete. I mean, his first year, last year, you see him going to training camp against Jason Peters, and he wasn't missing a beat. So I mean, that makes him better, and also obviously, it's a big compliment to him to be going against Jason, and wasn't scared at all. So he'll be really good.
We've talked about all the new guys coming in this year, but in your second year with Timmy, what's that relationship like? And off the field and on the field?
I mean, it'll be good. I mean, the relationship with Timmy and I is really good. I mean, we got a good understanding of, that we just got to continue to grow from last year. That we have to, just, go back and watch watch film on the things that we both did bad, and let's try to correct it. As individually and as a group. As him playing beside me, and the biggest thing is it's every day that we challenge each other. We want each other to be better, and that won't stop.
Do you know much about Bennett as an inside rusher? He did a lot. He jumped in a lot, like Brandon. How do you think he'll play off you?
It'll be really good for us. Real good. I'm actually pretty excited about it, to be able to be rushing with him. It's funny that we said that, because I think a couple years ago, and we was at the Pro Bowl, and he said, man, I wish I was rushing next to you. And now, look at it, years later, we get a chance to do that, and I'm pretty excited about it.
Time for 2 more questions.
You mentioned Vinny and Benny before. Does it ever get easy for you, the business part of it, losing friends from year to year, just the turnover?
I think a friendship lasts forever, but, as we all know, NFL contracts don't. But, I'm happy for Vinny, happy for Benny, happy for Vinny, and those guys will be forever my friends.
What Fletcher Cox Road isn't in Google Maps yet.
You gotta wait, man. You gotta give him time, bro. It just happened like a couple weeks ago, all right?
What road did it replace?
River Road.
River Road?
Yeah.
You've checked off the box Super Bowl champion. You've been rewarded with your position, great contract. What's the next box you want to check off?
The next box for me, and I'm not scared to say it, I think I've had multiple Pro Bowls. I won the Pro Bowl, and the next thing for me is to be, Defensive Player of the Year. That's my thing, and I'll be working towards that.
Thanks, everyone.
All right, thanks, Fletcher.
Yeah.
Just chewing my food real quick.
You know what's funny? A year ago.
Yeah.
Just think about a year ago, it was like, are they going to trade Jason Kelce or not? Now you're freaking folk here on the city.
A little bit different, yeah. No, it was a really, really good year, obviously. You know, not just for me, but for the whole team, for every player. It seemed like, you know, no matter who we were counting on, who we relied on, everybody stepped up to the plate and answered the call. So, really back at the drawing board, try to focus and do the same things next year.
Let me just follow up on that. What about for you personally, to go from being a guy that, you know, fans were, he's too small, he's, you know, getting pushed around, to literally being like this legendary figure, not just for the way he played, but for the parade and all that?
Yeah, I mean, you know, I've talked about this a little bit with a lot of the guys. I think that, you know, I was at a point in my career where it was like a very, you know, unnerving point. You know, you start asking yourself, you start questioning your own abilities. You start questioning, am I good enough? Like, what's going on? Why am I struggling? And it really forces you to self-analyze what's going on. And thankfully, you know, Jeff Stoutland's a tremendous coach, and he got my technique and everything back in order. You know, the coaches had a lot of confidence. The front office had a lot of confidence in me, and let me really go out there and prove that I was the right guy. And I think with all that, with all, I don't even want to call it, I mean, with all the criticisms and everything, you know, they weren't unwarranted. You know, I really did play bad, especially at the start of the 2016 season. I had a really bad start. So, you know, all of those criticisms and everybody, you know, questioning whether I was the right guy actually forced me to reevaluate some things I was doing, forced me to really have a real conversation with myself on how I can get better and how I can get back to playing at that level. And I think it made me a much better player this past year, having gone through that.
Jason, how has life changed for you since that epic speech?
Well, it's certainly, you know, there's more pictures taken when you go out for breakfast and stuff like that. You know, I don't think, you know, it hasn't changed too much. I don't, you know, obviously it's definitely, you know, it's a talking point right now, and it probably will be for a long time in Philadelphia, and that's awesome. You know, I'm happy that, you know, not just the season went that way, but the fans, you know, they've been waiting for this for so long in this city. You know, it's one of those things that for the first 7 years, that's all anybody ever talked about when they come up and meet you as an Eagle. They're like, you know, just get us that one. You know, that's what we've been waiting forever. So, you know, to be able to be a part of that, to be able to, you know, have everything culminate into that, you know, big parade after the game, where a bunch of emotions had kind of hit me all at once. You know, I think it was a very real moment for myself, and I think that the fans and really everybody watching it picked up on that as well, that it was really, you know, kind of just, you know, coming from the heart. It wasn't just some sort of show, even though it might have looked like it with the mummer outfit and all the spectacle around it. I think that it was something that came from a burning place down inside that had been ingrained through a lot of, you know, hard work, a lot of failures, a lot of success throughout my entire career, and the same thing with the city and this entire organization.
When you mentioned kind of getting your technique and working with staff to get back to that point. Do you have any theories as to how you got out of that? Like, was there something going on in 2015, you know, that led to that or anything?
I think that as you go and you grow as a player, you're constantly trying to get better. If you're truly, you know, if you want to be one of the best, I think you're always trying to improve your game, always trying to get better. But I think when you've had success, especially when, you know, before a couple injuries, when I'm younger, I'm a little bit stronger, I'm a little bit more athletic, you get away with some things. But then I think you start to advance more in the game, and sometimes you can lose track of just the basic fundamentals of, you know, leverage, angles that allow anybody to be successful. I mean, you know, I think obviously I'm not the biggest guy, but then if I can kind of make up for that by utilizing low hands, getting leverage on somebody, utilizing the fact that I'm a little more explosive than most people. And I think a little bit of that had taken a back seat to some of the more advanced thought processes that were going on in my head, especially with, you know, the new offense and a lot of other things where I'm trying to, you know, think a little bit more. I'm trying to put guys in the right position and all that stuff instead of really honing in every single day on making sure that I'm maintaining good pad level, good hand placement, good leverage, good angles, working with the person next to me. I think all that stuff, the basics of the game are something that you should never have been reinforced to me, and everybody talks about this, but you should never lose track of the basic fundamentals of any sport that you're playing.
I
Because
imagine you had a lot of requests for public appearances. And, what were some of the ones you enjoyed the most, and what were some of the weirdest ones that you turned down?
I don't know. There were a lot. There's a lot of people getting married, asking if I can be a part of their weddings, which was pretty cool. I didn't. No, I didn't do those. I didn't do a lot of them. I mean, I did a select few. I enjoy a lot of the other guys and the other sporting franchises in the city, so I kind of reached out, did a little bit with all of them. I don't know. I didn't really want to, I don't know that it's my personality to go out and all of a sudden be like a public speaker. I think everybody's like, "Oh, you're a great speaker." I'm like, "Well, it's easy when what you're talking about is, it's been building up for years and years and years. I don't know that I'd be able to replicate that every single time I get behind a microphone." Yeah. I mean, obviously that one was really cool. My former high school from Cleveland Heights, they ended up visiting Philadelphia this year, and I got to reconnect with my, band conductor, and I kind of I hadn't played saxophone in so long, and I got to meet up with the Central High School kids and play with them, and then obviously with the Mummers, I got to be able to go on a parade up in Manayunk and play with those guys. It's been really cool because music was a huge part of my life all growing up. I still play music all the time. It's like a hobby, and I just think it's a great thing for kids or anybody who's looking to get involved with something extracurricular. It's just a great avenue. So, I'm all for supporting all that stuff.
What's the best story or best encounter you've had since that speech?
Oh, man. That's tough because there's been so many good ones. I mean, there's been so many people that have just come up and, poured their heart out about, how long that they've been a Philadelphia Eagles season ticket holder, or how long, they remember watching games with their grandfathers or with their fathers, I think it's the thing that's hit home so much is that, this fan base has really been waiting for this for a long time. And it's really a part of their families. I think it's ingrained in, father-son relationships is ingrained in brother relationships. And I think, when obviously there's been so many heartfelt stories of, watching games every single day, every single Sunday with my father, and then he never got to see it. And then kind of those emotions come into it and just thanking for finally getting it done. Or people whose parents just held on just a little bit just to see that final championship and then they passed on. I mean, the biggest one, walking down on the parade that day, I can't remember who came up to me, but somebody came up to me with ashes in their hand. They said, Kelce, I don't know what to do. Somebody just poured their grandfather's ashes in my hands. And it was just, I was like, I don't know what to do either. So, I mean, it's just, all of those stories have been incredible. I couldn't really pick out one, to tell you the truth.
When you were delivering the speech, did you realize the impact it would have? Did you realize how much it resonated?
No, I knew that, I wasn't really, I don't think I was doing it really to get for that purpose. I think it was just something that, for leading up to the Super Bowl, you start thinking about, or at least I was, you start thinking about all these, points in your life where you had to overcome something, where, in high school I didn't get a scholarship, I had to walk on and try and earn my place in a college program, and then you go from walk-on, moving completely different positions, and you try and put on all this weight, and, there's all these things, and you start thinking about everything everybody along the way and everything along the way that's helped get you to where you're at. And I found myself, literally before the Vikings game in the shower, God damn it. And then you get pretty emotional, crying. And all of that after the Super Bowl, after the game is finally over, I'm like running on the field, and I still can't believe it's happened. And it all hits you all at once. And, I think that's what the whole speech was. It was culminating of, it wasn't just me, culminating of all these stories that I'm thinking about at night. I can't go to sleep of how I got there. And then you start thinking about how everybody else got there. And then you start thinking about how the city got there. So.
What were you thinking in the, so it was before the Vikings game, you said in the shower, or after the Vikings?
This is like after the Vikings game at my house in my own shower. I'm just showering and I'm, just thinking about all that stuff. And before the parade, after the game, I couldn't sleep. I was up till like 3 a.m, and that's kind of where I started running through what I was going to say and stuff like that. So.
Was it weirdly comforting to think about all the guys that you just won the Super Bowl with, and to think that they kind of had similar experiences?
Well, yeah, that was the whole point of the thing. The whole speech was that it was like a realization of myself, stepping back and realizing that I'm not the only person that's been through something. I'm not the only person that's had to go through. Literally everybody has. Everybody's had something that they've overcome. Everybody's pushed through. Everybody's persevered through some sort of adversity, and that was, kind of the mantra of the whole season. We had so much adversity, injuries, all these things happening, and it just seemed like nothing could stop us. And we just had a great mindset, a great approach, a great team, great coaches, and it just all really, really fell in place. So yeah, that's that's what we're working towards this year now.
One thing about this year, you're coming in, you know that you can win a championship. In the past, you've been believing that you can win.
Yeah.
And you even doubted yourself, you said it.
Mm-hmm.
What's it like coming in this year, knowing that you can?
Well, I think it's, reinforced that confidence for sure. I think that. No worries, Dave. Sorry. I'm going to give Dave a second. I think it just reinforces the confidence in what you're doing, obviously, a little bit more. The more success you have, I think there's 2 ways to breed confidence. I think confidence is huge in anybody playing well, but, you can do it through repetitions and practice and preparation. A lot of times when you're more nervous for certain games, it's because you haven't done the necessary preparation and you don't really know what to expect. If you know what to expect, chances are you're not going to be that nervous. That's why, as a rookie, you're always a little bit nervous those first couple games because you don't know what to expect. But after you play a couple, you start realizing it's just football. So I think preparation and practice, and then the other thing that leads to confidence is just on-field success. The more you win, the more you play well, the more everybody wins and plays well, the more you have confidence in what you're doing and confidence in the process. So I think that right now, after we've obviously just coming off of Super Bowl win, we all are very confident in the way Doug's managing everything, the way the team's working, the practices, the weight room. I think that everybody's just fully on board, even that much more, because we've seen where it's taken us before.
Jason, in terms of life accomplishments, where do you rank the Super Bowl?
I just got married, so I can't rate it above that.
Smart.
Yeah. It's, I guess, right below that. I don't know. I've dedicated my entire life to playing the game of football, and, this is my job, this is my profession, and, to be able to play it at the highest level and to accomplish the greatest task or the greatest achievement you can get as a team, especially, that's about as good as it gets. That's what everybody's trying to do, right? No matter what your craft is, you're just trying to be the best you can be to do something, especially when you do it collectively as a group of people, to achieve something like that. I think it's, I don't really know what else would top that.
Was there one criticism or doubter or that stung the most and motivated you the most?
No, I don't think that individual criticisms really stuck out. The biggest thing that sticks out with yourself, I think, is when you start to doubt yourself. That's the biggest thing that starts to creep up, or at least it did with me, because I've always been a very confident player. I've always been a guy that's, there's not too many times on a football field where I've felt like I can't do my job. And, I think at the beginning of 2016, that was a very awkward, or not awkward, but a very, trying to think of the right word here, upsetting, or, what was that? Unfamiliar, that's a good one too. Feeling of like not having confidence in yourself, not thinking, not knowing, that you can do it. Lacking that was the biggest eye-opening thing to me. And I think that probably a little bit of those criticisms contributed to that, but also just me not getting the job done contributed to that. So I think that all of that rolling up into, for the first time in my career, I was like, oh man, this is crazy. I don't know if I can really do this. Maybe I can't. Maybe, maybe I don't have it anymore. And then obviously it's even that much better when you realize you do, and you come back and you correct all the things. And
so you were cursing at yourself?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, I think that was, I think, I think that all of those things culminated into making me a better player. And I think that when all that stuff was going down, it was very much an intrinsic focus as opposed to an external focus.
Jason, one of the spoils of traditionally of winning the Super Bowl is in the White House. Have you given any thought to where you guys will go or should go?
I don't know that I want to discuss politics or anything like that. I'm kind of just here to talk football. I'll leave that up to other people who want to make those decisions or anything like that.
How does the motivation change, Jason, now that you guys as a team are no longer underdogs?
Yeah, I mean that's obviously that's a different mindset. I think that the motivation has changed. Just like I said a second ago, we're very, very confident, and now that we've had one under our belt, I think that we know that we're good enough to continue doing this. We know that we're good enough to do this again, and I think that everybody's, it's no longer that we're trying to get it; it's ours now. So now we're trying not to let anybody else get it away from us.
An extension of that, Jason, was, Doug has coined this term, the new norm. Trying to keep this going. For you, this was so emotional. On a personal level, how do you sort of, there's a human nature aspect of almost signing and saying we did it.
Mm-hmm.
How do you get back from that to try to keep it going?
Well, I think the way everything's scheduled is really good in doing that, and I think that you talked about the new norm. I think that Doug and the coaches have really hit on what allowed us to get to that point. Through our preparation, through the how we practice, how we watch film, how the coaches prepare, how the front office handles things. I think all of that is the new norm. I think that we're just trying to replicate the little details, the little extra work that you put in to make sure that you're putting yourself in a successful position or a successful situation. And I think when you focus on doing that every single day, when you focus on competing every single day, it's easy to, football is a great avenue to be able to push all of those emotions to the side, in my opinion.
During your speech, when you were rattling off the criticisms of each player,
yeah,
like no cards or anything like that, did you leave anyone out? And if so, you want to add them in now?
Well, I think I probably did leave some people out. I didn't touch, even though, Malcolm Jenkins hasn't struggled really on the field that much. He gets a lot of criticisms for his outspokenness, for, social justice issues and things like that. I'm trying to think of who else, I didn't mention Chris Long in the speech, did I?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I mean, Chris, he's obviously he had won a Super Bowl the year before, but all of a sudden he gets, to the Philadelphia Eagles, and, this guy's, I don't even know what year it was for him last year, but he's literally sharing a locker in training camp. Like he's a, undrafted free agent. I think I could have, yeah, right?
No one's ever doubted him, though.
No, nobody's ever doubted Fletch.
He missed OTAs.
I think the bottom line is, I didn't have time to go through everybody. I do think that, everybody at some point trying to accomplish that has had to overcome something, and regardless of whether it was outspoken in the media or if it was something else, maybe family related or something like that, I think that everybody gets tried at certain times, and the message was that all of these guys, the collective group, had overcome all of that and really achieved something that I've been trying to do for a long time here in Philadelphia.
I'm sorry, how many times have you watched that speech?
I've watched it a couple times. I haven't really watched it that much. There was one, I watched it right afterwards, and there was another one that somebody showed me that was, they put like highlights behind it, which I thought was pretty cool. But outside of that, I haven't watched the actual speech too much.
How was the best man speech at your wedding in fact?
He killed it. I must run in the family. My brother did a great job. There was a lot of, the wedding was another great speaking moment. I mean, there was, between the vows, the best man, the maid of honor. I mean, it was a big old, everybody was tearing up a little bit. It was pretty awesome. So he did a good job. He did a great job.
What did Travis think of your Super Bowl speech?
Oh, Trav loved it. I mean, he's known me for a long time, so I don't think it was as surprising to him as it was to everybody else. And, I think he's had kind of a backdoor, ear to a lot of the things that I've been, to a lot of that stuff before and made it out through the speech, I guess.
Okay.
Cool.
All right, next one is
mean, it's just like a closet.
Say, I think
There's a lot of people in there.
Welcome to how the other half works.
Yeah, I know, right? Cool. Got the mood lighting and everything. It's good.
Nick, what did you think about what Brandon Brooks said, that he deliberately restructured these deals just so you get more money?
You know, I think that, you know, for him to do that was pretty awesome as a teammate, you know, because we restructured my contract as well. It just says a lot about the guys we have on this team, says a lot about him, and, you know, I was, you know, grateful for him and just a great teammate.
Who initiated the contract restructuring?
You know, it's sort of a mutual thing. You know, we had been talking about it just because of the situation we're in. You know, the contract, if you really analyze it, benefits. It's really a good contract. You know, it benefits me. It also benefits the team as well. They have an option on me. We were able to, you know, create something that, you know, basically protected me, protected the team, because it is a unique situation we're in right now. You know, but I'm glad that we were able to work through it. I'm excited about being here, I've always been excited about being a part of the Eagles franchise.
Speaking of unique, I mean, the fact that there's a mutual option, how was that presented to you, and why was that something that you guys wanted?
You know, I think it was just, once again, we were restructuring the deal just because of the unique situation, what happened last year. You know, I had one more year on my contract here, and it was just something that both sides sort of thought of, created, and it really does make a lot of sense for this situation. So I think it does work well with both parties.
It's rare to go from Super Bowl MVP to potentially backup quarterback. How do you feel about that potential situation this year?
You know, that it is a crazy situation. I don't know how many times it's happened. It's never happened. But at the same time, you know, we were just talking about the contract, and, you know, this is a special place. You know, I was asked, I know the interview I did in Austin, Texas, where I was asked if I did want to be a starter again. Well, you know, all of us play this game. We all have aspirations, and, you know, we all believe we can go out there and step in a huddle, do things, and then help lead a team. You know, that is an aspiration. It always has been. But you also have to look at the situation, like where you're at, because you don't want to overlook a situation, because we're in a very special place. This locker room is a very special place. Do I want to lead a team again? Absolutely. But am I trying to, you know, run away and do that right now? Well, if it presents itself and that works out, then fine, I'll live in that moment. But at the same time, I'm so grateful to be a part of this organization. You know, like I said, it is a really special place, and you know, I'm excited about what this team has this year.
Did you consider forcing the issue in the sense of going to them and say, please give me an opportunity to start somewhere else? No,
there's no talk about that at all. It was one of those things where, you know, if that arose and that happened, we talk about, you know, the team's done a great job. Howie's done a great job of, you know, if anything does arise, you know, we're going to have a conversation about it. I mean, that's a big part of why I came here, is the relationships, the people. You know, I've been on the side of being traded and going through that thing without knowing, and they're aware of that as well. So whatever happens, we're going to be in open communication and talk about it, and that's something that, you know, not every franchise does, and, you know, I'm glad Howie, you know, will do that, and but at the same time, I'm excited to be here.
Nick, has there been anybody in your life, is there anybody in your life, whether it's a family member, agent, teammate, who has suggested to you you ought to be banging the table right now to be somewhere else for more money, for all that stuff? Have there been people saying to you, you have an opportunity here, use your leverage?
I mean, there's always been people that are going to say that. I mean, let's keep it real. But at the same time, it's my decision. It's my wife and I sitting down and talking. So we'll listen, but at the same time, you know, you got to look at the moment where you're at. I've seen both sides of it. You know, grass isn't always greener on the other side. Do I want an opportunity to lead a team again? Absolutely. But am I trying to run away and do it right now? Well, you know, I'm grateful to be here. I'm grateful that the team was able to work through a restructure that, you know, benefited me and the team. We have a great team here. We have a great coaching staff. We play for the greatest city, you know, in the United States. I mean, this is a special town. I mean, we see what's going on with the Sixers right now. How cool is that? We saw what's going on with Villanova, the parades. You know, there's so much, you know, we have my daughter. There's so much here that, you know, I really enjoy. I love it here. So I'm not banging on the table at all. I'm really grateful to be in this moment. That mindset hasn't changed. All I'm telling y'all is what y'all already knew and everyone knew. I can't believe that I actually had to come out and say I want to be a starter again, because I've always believed that your actions speak louder than words. I shouldn't have to come out and say, hey, I should be a starter again, because if I'm saying that, there's a lot of guys that say that shouldn't be starters. the key is to go out on the field and lead your team, to show people like, hey, this guy is a good guy in the locker room. He can lead a team. He did it on the field. He's shown it. And to me, that's what I always had to do. And if it takes a team hearing me like I actually can do that, then I can say that. But right now, I'm a part of this team. I'm a piece of the puzzle. I'm going to help this team win in any way possible, whatever my role is. I'm going to do it to the best of my ability. I'm going to do it with a lot of joy because I've seen the other side of it. And I have a lot of joy going to work here and enjoying the people, working with the people I work with.
Nick, would this be possible if you and Carson weren't so close? This whole situation?
Yeah, I mean, it's that's a huge. I'd say that it could be tricky for sure, but him and I are close. Nate, Carson, and me, like we have such a great group that works like a dynamic. And it is a lot of fun to go to work. Carson's doing a great job of, working his butt off to get healthy. Nate's excelling every day. I'm excelling. I'm working. It's a great room to work in where, we understand our roles, but at the same time, we all want what's best for each other. We all want to help each other. And that's something that when I say this place is a very special place to work, that is included in that statement because it really is.
Nick, football-wise, two guys you work very closely with, Frank and John, are now gone. You talked about that room. It's early, obviously, but have you gotten the feel for how that's going to work with the changes in the coaching staff?
Yeah, with Frank and John leaving, those two are tremendous coaches. They were a huge reason, we were so productive on offense last year and did a lot of great things. But, and I wish them well. They're going to do great things, in Indy and in Minnesota, just not when they play us. But with Coach Groh and Coach Taylor, I mean, those guys are tremendous coaches. They've been there every step of the way. I've seen, Press, grow every single year he's been here, and he's a tremendous coach. I'm excited to work with him. I'm excited to work with Coach Groh. They bring a lot of knowledge and understanding to the table, whether it's schematically, fundamentally. We've already been able to work with them the last week, and, just going through meetings, talking to them, going through our offense. They have so much knowledge, so I'm excited to work with them. They're going to do a great job.
When they stepped in for Carson in December, you knew that you were going to ride that out to the end of the season. Now you're starting the spring. You're going to be the guy taking all the first team reps. You're going to take it for a while. We don't know till when, but you're going to be at some point. Carson's going to come back and take over. How do you approach it differently versus what you just went through?
It goes back to, I'm going to go back to what I talked about last time I talked to y'all, is just sort of living in the moment. My moment right now is to help this team, in practice and, when we throw, whenever we do things, while Carson's getting healthy, and whenever, he gets healthy and, gets back out there, which I'm excited for. I'm excited, I want him to get back out there, get healthy, get back to Carson Wentz, who he was, where he, I want him to, start off where he left off. That excites me from being, from a teammate's perspective, from a friend's perspective. But right now it's just living in the moment, doing what I can to help this team day in and day out. And really just enjoying it. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of hard work, but it's a lot of fun to work here. It's a lot of fun to work with these guys, so I enjoy it. So that's really it. I'm just living in the moment. It hasn't changed. My mindset won't change. There's definitely times where I'm tempted to look at the future like any of us are. I'd be lying if that wasn't the case, but you have to reel back in and stay in the present because that doesn't do you any benefit.
How do you weigh both sides of that, between the obvious aspirations to be a starter again versus what you said is a special situation here?
Yeah, I think that that's a great question. It's not easy because part of you wants to be able to lead a team and step in the huddle, but the other part of you has. I think the big thing is I've been very blessed to experience so much in my career that whenever those thoughts sort of hit you, you have to hone back in and say, all right, you take from what I learned early in my career when I went to St. Louis, when I went to Kansas City, where I am here, and this is a really great spot. And I really just need to worry about today. And the reason is tomorrow's not guaranteed. Today, this moment is. And I'm going to enjoy it and do it to the best of my ability. And it really makes everything a lot easier because whatever's going to happen is going to happen. A lot of it really has no control over what I decide. If I'm traded, then it's really not my decision. We might talk about it, but so why would I even worry about it? So all I'm doing right now is I'm going to be the best teammate I can be. I'm going to love on these guys. I'm going to get to know them, as people, not just football players, and then, we're going to go from there.
Nick, have you watched the game again, and if you have, what are your thoughts?
I have not watched the game from our film perspective. I've seen a lot of the. I sat down with either my dad or my father-in-law and watched the FX. They said the FX was pretty cool with the sound effects of the game and everything. So it's sort of like the quick highlight reel of the game, which is awesome because it doesn't. It's one of those things where it's the Super Bowl. You're watching it. You're looking through it. You're seeing the sounds, the emotions, and you're really one of the only guys in the world that can say you really felt what was going on with your teammates. So it's really cool to just sort of reflect on it and hear the sounds of the game. I think the FX does a good job of portraying it as real as they can.
Nick, on the 4th and goal play, on the Philly play.
Yeah.
What made you suggest that to Doug?
It was a gut feeling. Doug and I had talked about it for weeks about when we'd want to call it, and the situation that we had sort of talked about. Doug had sort of talked about second half. The game, we need to go up by 2 scores. It's going to be a second or third and short. And that's a good time to bust that thing out. Super Bowl changes things. I knew that we had that in our back pocket, and I wanted to get it called because Super Bowl, it's the last game, so you want to get it called. And that situation, whenever we call a timeout, just seemed like it just came to my head this is the perfect situation to call this play. It just felt right. I felt great. I felt like this would sort of throw New England off. So. When you see in the clip, because I've seen the clip where I say Philly, the Philly special, it shows a lot about Doug and how he trusts his players. Because on his headset, there's so much going on. All the coaches are trying to figure out what personnel package we need to be in, what play we're going to run, all that. But he just says, "Let's go do it," And all the guys are excited in the huddle. Say the play call, go do it. And it's just one of those ones where it's a gut feeling. We were playing ball, living in the moment, just sort of, hey, this is perfect. And now, crazy enough, it's a legendary Super Bowl play. And because of when it happened and how it happened, and it's pretty awesome.
Nick, how critical do you think chemistry was last year, and what will it be? What's the challenge to replicate that kind of chemistry?
Yeah, I think chemistry is one of the greatest things a team has, and it's not talked about enough. And it really comes down to end of games, when adversity hits, 4th down calls, the crucial points in games. That's when the chemistry, the love for your teammates, that relationship sort of comes into full effect because you need a little something extra in those moments. The team last year, amazing, just because of the core group of guys and the coaches and just everyone in this building. It starts from Mr. Lurie down. I mean, they do it the right way. This year, obviously some guys left. They had great opportunities to go play elsewhere, or just how the league works. We'll draft guys, we'll sign free agents, we'll sign young rookies, and then we're gonna teach them how we do it here in Philadelphia, and then we're gonna bring them along. We're gonna get to know them as people, and we're gonna help them as players. So I think every year you just want to keep getting better and better, and it's all about that family aspect. Everyone talks about it, but not all the teams do it, and this place does it, and that's why this team was so special. That's why the team was able to accomplish the goal of being Super Bowl champions.
Carson, since the contract extension, has he?
I wouldn't even phrase it as a contract extension. It's a contract restructure is what it is. It's not even an extension. I didn't sign an extension. We gave an option. I can buy back my option if it is exercised to be a free agent. So it was a good deal. There's no need to talk about it. It's one of those things where the team and I worked through something. Carson still knows where he is. Yeah. It's just one of those things where in him and I's relationship, it wasn't like, oh, wow. It was more like, I know he's happy for me and, my life, but at the same time, we know our situation. We're going to help each other, be the best teammates we can be. And, he's going to continue to get healthy to be ready to rock and roll.
The reason why I asked, the team would only exercise it because it is pay you as a starter if something were to happen to Carson. So, again, it's another thing that I wonder, you guys, there's still another thing you guys have to worry about in terms of
not at all
contract and how it relates to both of you.
No, we don't have to worry about that at all. And I think that, we had talked earlier about the relationship in the QB room and the relationship with Carson, and that's the reason. Him and I have a relationship to where that's not an issue. And like I said, if the option is ever exercised, I always have the opportunity to become a free agent because I can buy it back.
How's life different being the Super Bowl MVP?
What's that?
How's life different being the Super Bowl MVP?
I'm still the same person. Just can't go many places. I'd say that's it. It is different just walking around. I'd say maybe expectations from different people that, we're still the same people. We haven't changed, but it might be perceived that way. Like, I'm just talking about my wife and, my family, like how we are. Because, it's a lot. It is a lot that you go through. Winning the Super Bowl is a big stage. Being named MVP is a big stage. So that is something that you have to, I don't know if you'll ever get used to it, but it eventually probably dies down a little bit to where you can handle life. Because I'm a pretty simple person. Y'all have known me for a long time. I'm not going to change. Like, y'all know my number one priorities are my faith and my family. That will never change. But I'd say the stage of it is something that, I'm acclimating to still.
Was there an opportunity of going to the White House?
What was that?
The White House is one of the news of the day. That the team may go there. People have different opinions about going there. How do you feel about that?
Whatever the team decides, I'm going to be with the team. Whatever this team, I've always said that about this decision. It's, I'm a part of this organization, so whatever the organization decides, I'll be with the organization.
We talked to you the morning after, the next morning, early the next morning, and you said it still didn't seem real. And then I think you flew to Disney World that night or that day.
Right after that.
Yeah. At what point did it seem real? Or what point did you kind of, hey, this really happened to me?
Still working on it. It's just, I don't know if it'll ever really set in. I don't know if it's ever really meant to, because it's that great of something to be a part of. And to do it in the city of Philadelphia with the guys I did it with, after everything that had gone on, is always something that's very humbling. It's very special. I feel undeserving to be a part of it. And it's just something that, I wake up, there's times where I wake up and I walk in and see the banner and be like, wow, did that really happen? Though, when I look at my locker and I see the Eagles colors and I see my locker, there's part of me sometimes it's just like I'm a part of the Philadelphia Eagles because I was once, not here. So I'm still adjusting to all that. But I think it's really special for the city. It was really special for me to be a part of it. It's really special for everyone in that locker room. It will be forever. I've run into so many people across the country because I live in California in the off season. That's where my wife's from. That's where we'll probably raise our kids. And there's Eagles fans everywhere. Grown men coming up to me at dinner when I'm with my father. Pretty macho guys that all of a sudden break down and cry. And you see the emotion in the heart of it. Like they've waited their whole life. Their father waited his whole life. Their grandmother. And I know when we won the game, all of us in this locker room realized that, and that's why it was so special because we did it in such a unique, special city. And that's why, like, when everyone wants to talk about, hey, you want to go start here? Yeah, I have aspirations to lead a team. Do I wish I could play my whole career here? Absolutely. But I know the situation. I'm grateful for that. But I am grateful to be in this locker room at this moment, to be here because I genuinely love this city with all my heart.
Nick, the draft
Take one more.
the draft is in 2 days. Are you curious at all? You have one of your rivals, the Giants, has the number 2 pick. That can be a place where a team can change its fortunes.
I didn't even know they had the number 2 pick.
Okay,
so.
there you go. So you're not thinking much about how it might play out and affect things.
You know what? I don't watch many sports. The draft I watched was the one I was in, and the power went out the house, so I technically didn't even watch it when I was drafted. All I know is about the draft is it's such a cool opportunity for these young rookies to live out their dream. It's really a special moment, and I'm just talking from experience. We'll have it on to see, because I think the big thing is like these guys have worked hard their entire life to have an opportunity to be in the NFL. It doesn't matter if they go to the Giants, the Cowboys, the Redskins. Like, I'm really happy for those individuals because they're living out their dream. They're living out their family's dream, and they're going to be able to do a lot of great things with it. I'm excited to see who we get. I'm excited to see who we sign as free agent because if y'all don't, remember Corey Clement, won a draft pick. Dude's pretty darn good. So, I'm excited to see who our new members of our team will be so we can take them in and get to know them as people and just sort of help them in their rookie year because that rookie year is a big year. And this is a great team to go to because you have a lot of veterans that are going to want to help those rookies out, help those free agents out, help those draft picks out, and help them grow. And because we're going to need them to play well.
Take one more for Rob. When the game was over, there was a lot of talk about Tom Brady not coming over, no handshake. Do you have any explanation for why that happened? Were you disappointed by it?
No, we haven't, and I'm sure we will someday. Y'all saw it. Y'all were there. Chaos happens very quickly. The clock hit 0. I got to enjoy 1 second to myself, and then for the next 4 hours, it's a blur. And it's one of those things where it's crazy, and I think the world of Tom Brady is one greatest ever. I really enjoy getting to compete against him and his team on that stage. So I know someday I'll run into him. We'll have a great conversation. And no, I still think he's a tremendous player. Great role model for everyone.
All right.
Thank y'all.
Thanks.